Hello, it's I, 8-Bit Games, back at it again with this bullshit. And today I'm going to be continuing my review of the Psy mod, specifically my tutorial on how to pass through it, because I didn't really finish that, so I just finished one. So let's get back to the basics. You have your three base materials: Psy dust, Psy metal ingots, and Psy gems, which you get by using an infusion spell, which you can use by itself. You don't have to do anything much on some, redstone dust you've just dropped on the ground. Yeah. Alright. Psi metal ingots and psi dust, as last video say, can be used to make psi materials and psi weapons, such as psi metal axes and whatnot, which can help you in your spell needs, but they can also be helped making for specific bullet types, your CADs and whatnot, and so forth. Alright, but what I didn't get into last video was the different levels of infusion. Alright, there are three levels of infusion. There's regular infusion, which I showed last time. This is infusion that you use for gold to make psi metal and redstone to make psi dust. And then there's greater infusion, which allows you to make diamonds in the psi gems, which psi gems can be used for a lot of things, like greater CAD batteries and upgrades for your guns, such as rad cores and whatnot. Alright, and then there's ebony and ivory, the third level of infusion, which can do everything the previous two can, but while in the end you're able to turn quartz and coal into ebony prismatic gems and ivory prismatic gems. Think of it as a yin and yang, white and black, and these can be used to make cool blocks, but not just cool blocks like ebony gems and whatnot. But you can also use them in higher tier upgrades and higher tier guns, such as ebony and ivory guns. Ebony and ivory are basically the same, except they come with these two guns have two different changes. One of them focuses more on potency and one's on more efficiency. Now, if you remember what potency and efficiency are, is that when making a spell, spells have many different categories. So it's complexity, the amount of actions, spell transactions you can have, bandwidth, how much, it's just how big the spell can be within the spell cradle, potency, how powerful is it, cost, how much casting it's going to cost, projection is the amount of tricks. Efficiency, while not listed on the spell symbol, is actually can actually decrease some of the stats of a spell. Essentially means like you can have more of these. It doesn't increase the amount, but it decreases the amount one of these would take from those. Yeah. So ivory is if you want your spells to be more efficient, while ebony, which is my favorite, is more potent, which is more powerful. I prefer power over efficiency. After that, you have your three basic upgrades that all guns can be used on. You have basic CAD socket, your basic cores, your basic batteries, and those slowly increase. However, these don't just do similar stats. Some, like the sockets, do bandwidth, the amount of spells your gun can hold, and the amount of saved vectors it can hold. Essentially, in spell creation, uses vectors. Vectors and constantly changing variable. Thinking like you're constantly changing the distance your gun shoots. That's what a vector is. Having different saved vectors means you can switch between preset values, such as like if I wanted a vector that moved in a spiral and went forward, like I don't know, some flaming spell, then I can have that as one saved vector, and as another I could have some vector that spawns a meteor from ground. It's not the spell, but it's how the spell moves. That's what a vector is. How you want this spell to move depends on the vector and what you do with the vector. So the more saved vectors you can have, the more you can change a spell while you're firing it. You don't have to change it beforehand. You can change it while in battle. However, as you've noticed, some of these the sockets aren't always equal in value. Large is a complete upgrade from basic, and transmissive is a complete upgrade from large. However, huge CAD socket isn't a complete upgrade from transmissive, though. They're kind of like the ebony and ivory thing. They're interchangeable in level. Now, huge socket saves more vectors and, you can have more spells, but it has less bandwidth. Bandwidth is very important within a spell because, I'll just show you. If I'll show you later, but essentially, no, I'll show you now. Bandwidth. Yeah, 10 bandwidth. In the spell, when you have your CAD gun, you put it into the thing with alt stats, and that affects how looks here. If you didn't notice, bandwidth 9. That means my spell can be 9 blocks by 9 blocks in a grid wide. I can make it that big. If your spells aren't that complex and you've shortened them due to either efficiency or they're complex because you want them to do more, bandwidth is something you have to keep in mind. Now, secondly, we have basic CAD cores, which give you projection and complexity. Complexity is how complex in motion they can be, and potency is again power of the spell. No, that's complexity. Projection is the amount of tricks you can have. As you slowly upgrade these, you can see that they're not all upgrades from each other. Each kind of tries to do different balance than the other, except basic. Basic is just, basic. We have basic, you get 1 projection, meaning you can only have 1 trick in your gun or in your spell. 14, it can go through 14 different motions. Yeah, 4 tricks. How much do you want the 1 spell to do? If you're making simple spells that only use tricks like blaze and flame, where you're setting entities or the ground on fire, you're only gonna want at most 2 to 3 projection. So I wouldn't do the basic core, because basic recipe wise is extremely easy to make, but overclocked, which is the next rank over, gives you 3 projection, 24 complexity, and it's not really that much cheaper. I mean, it's just some metal ingots with redstone dust. Remember, psi metal is just gold, redstone dust is psi dust, this is coal, and that's a diamond. So anything with these just has the cost of this, and you're giving up some psi to make it. Though you can just regenerate that, so it's not much of an issue. As you've noticed, some of these, like radiative and hyperclocked, list complexity for projection and vice versa. Again, it comes to what spells your gun is firing. Do you want the spells to be more complex and have more transactive processes, do more math, change the vectors constantly, etc.? Or do you want to use more spells at once? Now, again, this isn't considering the whole, the amount of energy you have, because the amount of energy you have will obviously doing more of these will take up more energy, and you can't really change that except with batteries. Batteries are linear upgrades. They get better with each one. Essentially, what batteries is gives you an overflow value. Overflow essentially allows you to spend more mana than you have. Think of it as a saved value of mana within your gun that you can exhaust. Now, you can't exhaust past the value of overflow. So I definitely recommend, I'm deaf myself, so I definitely recommend that you just get the highest level of battery, because it's not that much. One diamond, one iron ingot, and one gold ingot. You should just get the highest level of battery anyways, because more overflow means you can put more energy into your spells. Here's also the cost of the sockets. It slowly progresses in material amount, but again, huge socket and transmissive, all the high tier stuff really isn't that expensive if you just do a little bit of mining. Alright, so these are all the materials you're going to ever need if you wish to make things inside. Now, there's also cosmetics for your Saigon, but I'm not going to use any. Cosmetics include, well, I don't actually have any here, but, yeah. Cosmetics include things like the colorizers. Colorizers are essentially, you can change the color of the mana that comes out of your gun. You make it light blue, you can make it the full rainbow color, you can make it the color of side, you can make it seem empty and void of color at all. And any other colors you want. They got a great variety here. All the way from white to black, blue to red, green to purple, and so on and so forth. So, ebony prismetal ingots and ebony prismetal ingots. I actually didn't say correctly, but doing coal and quartz gives you a substance of ebony and ivory, not the actual ingot. You have to make the ingot out of a prismetal ingot. Now, this is using the trick ebony and ivory in the end. So you have to have the end unlocked if you want to use this type of gun. Alright? You can also use it to make cool building blocks, but that's kind of just, showing off that point. Now we get to the bullet types and equipments. Now, if you are using SOD, I'd heavily recommend you play with just enough items. It's mod compatible. If not, I hope you get the encyclopedia mod, because this encyclopedia can give you a great guide on how to make spells, how things when spells work, how to make the required blocks you need, such as a spell creator and the CAD assembler. It also teaches you the basics I'm teaching you now, and so forth. Yeah, but we get to our spell bullet types. Now it's kind of tricky with some of these spell bullet types, because you could honestly make a regular spelled bullet with the light vector do some of what these things do. But these bullets are more of just to make it so you don't have to do that. You can just have something that does it for you, can make the spell more simple, such as loop cast. So how a spell bullet works is it files a singular spell. Now the spell continues when you fire. If I do a bullet spell, it's going to continue going forward after I fired. And I don't know, if I have it checking for something, it runs and it's going to do it. Loop cast is like that, but instead of it continuously files. The spell continuously repeats in that singular instant. So if I put that on a bullet spell, it's just going to continually file bullet, costing the same amount of mana each time, unless you have the spell saved otherwise. But we'll get into that in a later video. Circle spell bullets, honestly, they're kind of the same in my opinion. I generally don't know what's the difference between the two. Yeah, it executes the spell multiple times. So does a loop cast. Loop cast also spells the ball multiple times, repeatedly. So there's some minor variations, such as the amount of times it does and whatnot. Projectile spell bullet. You can make a projectile spell out of the regular spell bullet, in my opinion, but you can also do a projectile spell bullet. It makes it easier if you want to do that. You have grenade spell bullet. Now this will shoot out like a grenade. It'll have weight and heavy. But essentially, when you cast a spell, it happens from the place of the bullet. Alright? Yeah, I'll put ebony and ivory in this one, and I'll fucking, yeah, greater infusion. Watch this. Oh, yeah. Oh, right, yeah, you can't have more than one CAD in your inventory. Sorry about that. Right, you can't, if you have more than one CAD, then the CADs disrupt each other, and then you can't really, do anything. But essentially, yeah, files like a grenade. If I put more value into the spell, then it will, then it would have gone longer. As you can see, it explodes after a timed delay. Alright, so this keep this in mind. This is a very important fact. The spell happens where the bullet lands. So if I have like a spell, so you have to design your spell based off how the bullet works as well. Because if I just transfer a shooty shoot spell from this to a grenade, then it's going to shoot from the point of the grenade. Then we got Mind Spell Bullet. Mind Spell's a lot like Grenade, but it stays on the ground and only detonates when someone walks over it. So there's that. We got Charge Spell Bullet. Charge Spell is essentially if you want to charge a changing value to, shoot out different. Like, let's say that my charge value is the amount of damage the spell does, then you can charge it. Essentially, you can hold down your shoot button to charge the bullet, and that'll change the value. A spell drive is essentially something you can save. You can save a spell within a spell drive. Greater infusion spell. Put in there. So if you ever want to move your spells or store them, this is a great way to make copies. Spell detonator. If you have the spell mine, you can use a spell detonator to prematurely detonate it. So there's a little tidbit for you. Now we have the exosuit and exosuit control. The exosuit is made out of psi gems and psi metal, as well as the tools. These are essentially cool things you can use to cast spells some alternatively. They don't have the best stats compared to like Diamond or Netherite Enchanted Armor, but the spell utility does give them some good use, especially since you can put mining spells, harvesting spells, or greater attack spells on these. The weapons all affect by just attacking them. You just attack with them, it causes the spell to happen. Or it's right click. It's one of the two, I've forgotten. While for the exosuit, it actually depends on the piece of armor. First, you have exosuit boots. These do a spell by you jumping. Every time you jump, the spell activates. Exosuit legs activate every tick. A tick is about 1/4 of a second. So this thing will fire off every 4 seconds. So if you have a healing spell, which for my use is not a good thing to do, because having a healing spell that fires every 4 seconds is going to make sure your mana drains a lot. Alright? Next we have chest plate works off damage. Every time you're hit, it'll go off. And the helmet it has no event handle. I mean, you can change what takes it off. If you take fire damage, if it gets dark, an explosion happens, you're in water, or you can make it if you take damage, then the spell activates. It allows for some customization for different situations, such as, if you want water breathing or night vision, it can help with those. Now, the vector ruler is a very useful tool, especially in combat. Essentially, if you want to do specific vector, essentially where you are, and then you take the place you are, and then you use it as, it gives you a vector where you're looking, XYZ coordinates per se. A vector is technically a motion within a direction function, but this just shortens it down to some values. If you have a spell that changes depending on the vector in your vector ruler, it can be another way to change what your spell does in the healer valve, so it's pretty useful. It's also pretty useful for getting vectors between places, so I don't actually know how to work this thing fully. Yeah, it's good for getting vectors when you don't know how to, so think of it as a shortcut for that. I'm not sure what I was gonna do for this chest, but yeah, basic Psi mods, that's about it. Everything you need to know about Psi to start your Psi spell-making journey. This has been 8-Bit. It's been a great time. Thank you for watching. If you want to learn more about how to make spells specifically or how spells work and the mechanics of the Psi mod, then stay tuned to my channel because I'll be making more videos like that soon. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.